Well, the Cowboys' defense last year was good enough to seal some games, something they hadn't done. I thought they got more clutch stops. Numbers-wise, it still wasn't a great defense. They were down there toward the bottom with, I think, 11 interceptions. But ran 21st in sacks,
yeah.
which those two kind of went hand in hand.
But it seemed every time they did get the sack or the interception, it came at a point in the game when they really needed to get the sack or the interception. And call it what it is. I mean, if you want to call it clutch, call it clutch. If you want to call it lucky, call it lucky.
Statistically, they try to think there's nothing such as clutch, but it did seem like some of those good Wade Phillips defenses would have good numbers.
Yeah.
When you got on Monday and you were talking about, well, are they ranked in yards and stuff? It was good, but they were ahead 17-13 and gave up a touchdown drive with 4 minutes to go. And so that was the opposite of clutch. And it seemed like it happened fairly frequently in bad situations. Or last year's team was kind of the opposite of that. They might give up 345 yards, but they got that stop at the end.
Make the play when they need to make the play. And I think a lot of that had to be with that team being that defense was fresh at the end of games. They were able to rotate in so many players. You saw a lot of different no-name players, for that matter, rotating in at several positions, particularly in the front seven, throughout the year for the Cowboys. And part of that also is because the offense dominated the ball so much. Their time of possession would be so dominant that it kept that defense fresh. That's going to allow you to make bigger plays.
One of my favorite fresh bodies in there was Durant,
yeah,
who's gone. But you think they've got linebackers that they're going to be okay at the outside linebacker?
Well, I mean, just if you're moving Sean Lee, a healthy Sean Lee, hope, knock on wood that he stays healthy, that upgrades your linebacking core just right off the bat, and he's going to play weak side linebacker. I think a strong side linebacker, you've got one of the more interesting position battles on the team in Anthony Hitchens, who was pretty good as a rookie last year, particularly in run defense, and he'll match up against Kyle Wilbur, who's been there for a couple years and has got a bit of pass rushing skill. So I think you've got the right core of guys. Rolando McClain back in the middle. He has 4-game suspension, but even Jasper Brinkley's backing him up, and he's a veteran guy. So I think you got the right core of guys to kind of help at linebacker and improve that defense.
And then that front line, the Mitzi led them in sacks, I believe, was 6.
Yeah.
And I think Hardy gets past that number, and maybe DeMarcus Lawrence. But the key is going to be having 7 or 8 guys again that can play, and maybe they can move some guys around in third down situations.
Yeah, getting Randy Gregory, the rookie, the 2nd-round pick, to
pretty thin, but I think he may be able to rush the passer.
If he can be a situational pass rusher for you, I think that allows Jeremy Mincey to move inside. They've been playing with that in OTAs. Let him play defensive tackle, that one technique. He becomes a pretty good pass rusher all of a sudden if he's matching up against a bigger guard that he's going to be quicker than.
Yeah, he's kind of disruptive, and at key times he would kind of get in there and tip a ball or strip something. And he was a solid pro in that locker room, I thought. Lawrence is a guy they really need to step forward.
And him being healthy and having a full season to play. He was injured early on in the process last year, missed almost every game. Had the one big sack. We talked about clutch, and nobody had a more clutch sack and strip than DeMarcus Lawrence in the playoff win against the Lions.
So, and I'm going to say this, that I know Hardy would like his suspension to just completely go away, but if it doesn't cost them in playoff seeding, if he misses those first 4, he's the freshest stud pass rusher in the league when you get to December and when you get to January, and that might actually benefit. If they would love to get 15 games out of Hardy with him missing the first 4.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing better for a defense than a good pass rush. We'll make our predictions in the next segment.